Hi everybody, this is Azita, and in today's video I am going to talk about the lesson number 2 in emotional alphabet. Lesson number 1 was about the connectivity of emotions, 4 elements that are associated with something that has happened. It was emotion, cognition, body sensation, and the behavior. We talked about how all of these are connected to make sense of what has happened to us and be able to distinguish between them. And lesson number 1 was also about how there is a difference between emotion and cognition and how people confuse the two with each other, and it becomes problematic. Now in lesson 2, today's video, I'm going to talk about the emotion and the behavior, the connectivity between these two, and how to differentiate between them, and how to teach our children to learn about the difference between these two, because that is extremely important. That is the alphabet of the emotion. All right, so in order to address this lesson, I'm going to give you an example of anger. Anger is a feeling, but anger also has a behavioral aspect associated with it. For instance, something might have happened and made me super angry. Now I feel the anger inside myself. By the way, it also has the body sensation associated with it, the 4th element we talked about in the lesson number 1. So I feel really boiling inside. I feel my blood pressure is higher, my heart is palpitating. So I know I'm angry. Somebody has done something to me and I'm extremely angry. Now, what are the behaviors associated with this anger? One behavior is action. Behavior is the action. What can I do with this anger? What are my actions? I can hit the person who hurt my feelings, made me angry. I can shout and scream. These are actions, these are behaviors, as you can see. I can punch the wall, that's another behavior. I can kick the dog, that is another behavior. I can keep quiet. Keeping quiet is also a behavior. Swallow the pain in and keep silence. Or another behavior is I can get out of the house and go and breathe, or talk to myself and curse the person with my own self. That's another behavior. Or another behavior is I can pick up the phone, call my friend, and talk about what bothers me without showing that anger to the person who caused the anger. That's another behavior. Or another behavior is I can go and turn on the TV and watch a movie and distract myself. And that is another behavior. So you see, we have one emotion, and we hear anger, and we have so many different actions associated with that emotion. So now, why is this important? And that is what brings me to this lesson number 2, which is emotions are all valid. We have to respect them, we have to recognize them, we have to understand them. We cannot negate an emotion. We cannot deny it, we cannot suppress it or repress it. The emotion is the emotion. It is valid at all times. When you have an emotion, you have to remember there is always a very, very, very good reason for you to have that emotion. You just don't know what it is. what that is sometimes. So if I want to leave you with something today, is that understand that there is always a good reason why you have the feeling that you have at that moment. We have to understand that it is the behavior that we have to modify or change. But the emotion is very valid for whatever it is. Now, I give you the example of anger again. When your child is angry, the child might be hitting another child. You address the hitting, which I just talked about, which is the behavior. You don't invalidate the anger that the child has. So that is how it's going to represent itself. I understand you're very angry, and I want to know why you're angry. So here, this piece shows that you are validating the anger. You are not questioning it in a negative way. You are not putting judgment on it. You are accepting it for the way it is. Then you go for the next second part. But you can't hit your sister. Now you're addressing the behavior and you are putting limits for the behavior. I call this emotional alphabet, a lesson in emotional alphabet, because that is what children have to learn. They have to learn that their emotions are different than their behaviors associated with that emotion. They have to learn to understand that my emotions are okay, they are valid. There is nothing wrong with it. And at the same time, they have to learn, but I'm not allowed to hit. I have to find out another way to show my anger emotion that is not destructive and that is going to be constructive. So we deal with emotions with constructive and destructive manners. And that is the lesson a child has to learn, that my emotions are valid, but my behaviors are the ones that I have to think about, either modify or completely change in order to express my emotions correctly in a way that brings health for me and increases the health for another person. So that is why I called it a lesson. And I think it's extremely important for the parent to know that lesson first before teaching that lesson. Imagine if this is a lesson, then you're a teacher. And if you're a teacher, you have to know your material. If you go to a classroom and the teacher doesn't know the alphabet of English language, how can that teacher teach English language? So I hope this lesson has been helpful for you. I also have Instagram lives Monday morning at 11 a.m. on Azita Sach 2020, which you are more than welcome to join, and I can have one-to-one conversation, and it will be live, and then it will be recorded on my Instagram TV. Hope this was helpful, and I see you in another video for emotional alphabet, which will be about emotions and cognition as onions and how they are layered and how to get to the core of the emotion and the core of the thought, and teach that lesson to our children. I see you on next video. Goodbye.